What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to the number one trending and topical issues podcast in the 254. I do hope that you're doing fantastic and you are excited to be with us on yet another beautiful episode where we get to show you a different side of this particular coin that we call the 254 All Kenya. Welcome to the show. My name is Spikes, and in case you're joining us for the very first time, feel free to connect with us on our different social media platforms. We are on Twitter at Kenyan Podcast. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, on Threads, and everywhere else. Search for Kenyan Podcast or the Kenyan Podcast, and you will find us right there. Today we have an interesting matter of discussion right here on the table with us. And this happens to be the issue of the recent move by the government of Kenya to downplay the impact of the US President Donald Trump administration's freeze of more than 13 million US pounds, or close to 17 billion Kenya shillings, funding for the Haiti International Policing Mission, led by the Kenya Police Contingent. Kenyan officials have urged the Kenyan-led Haiti Multinational Security Support Mission has argued that this Kenya-led Haiti mission has enough money to sustain operations until September, despite the freeze by the US government, which is the largest funder of this particular multinational security support mission in Haiti. And the problem is, or rather my question is, if the government of the USA, right now it's under the President Donald Trump, they decided that they will be freezing this particular funding for this particular project. Why then does the Kenyan government insist of continuing on carrying on with this particular mission, while it is the US government in the first place that has actually called on Kenya, among other different countries, to go on with this mission? If the US government itself finds that there is no need to pursue this particular mission at the end of the day, why are we still seeing this particular Kenyan leadership insisting or arguing on continuing with this particular project? Because as of the latest news that I'm actually receiving, the news reports that there have been 168 more corps that have been sent to Haiti. Another team of 168 more corps left the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Tuesday, February 6, 2025 at about 1 a.m. and were expected in Port-au-Prince on Thursday evening. The officers are said to be mainly from the Paramilitary General Service Unit and left for the mission after months of training and waiting. The government of Kenya on Thursday sent about 168 more police officers to Haiti to join the others on the ground in fighting the criminal gangs terrorizing the locals. The team left Jomo Kenyatta International Airport at about 1 a.m. and of course the government officials saw off the team at the airport. And the arrival of the new team in Haiti raises to 800 corps, the number of Kenyan corps on the ground under the Multinational Security Support Mission, or the MMS, in Haiti. And now this has come as the US has announced a freezing of 13 million US dollars in funding for the Kenyan-led team. But then again, our president and the leadership of this particular country still insist that they are able to carry on with the mission until September. We are in February right now. At some point, I heard about some hitches. That was about maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I had a report of the condition that these particular officers are working under, and also the issue to do with the non-payment of allowances. So now you're saying that the government insists that they are able to continue with this particular program until September, whereas there is a freezing of these 13 million US dollars to be able to continue the mission. Help me understand. If anyone can actually help me understand, kindly do help me understand how it is that we do have the Kenyan forces continuing to add more corps on the ground to Haiti, sending more corps on the ground to Haiti, whereas there is a freezing of the budget. I'm really not, I'm not able to understand or picture how this is going to actually work out or end. Because at the end of the day, you realize that this is a big, it's a big budget that is required. Now, is it that Kenyan taxpayers are supposed to be funding this particular mission? Because now the US is like they have frozen the support for this particular mission. Is it now that Kenya, now the taxpayers in Kenya have to step up and pay for this particular mission? I would just love to understand what is your opinion regarding this particular issue, and what do you think about the government move to continue to downplay the impact of Donald Trump's plan to freeze this particular funding for this Kenyan-led mission into Haiti. Because for me, I do see it as a place where we are left with so many questions in our mind. We are left with so many questions at the back of our minds, wondering what then will happen after this particular move by the U.S. government to continue to freeze this particular the funding for this particular mission to Haiti. Right now, the U.S. government has come up with so many different moves. For example, with the deportation of our people, I understand that with the deportation, what has been happening is that there is about 1,200 Kenyans that were on that deportation list, and the report is that these Kenyans were supposed to be deported back into the country. A total of 1,282 Kenyans residing in the USA were part of those targeted to for deportation, in line with President Donald Trump's pre-election promise to continue clearing, this particular country of illegal immigrants. And what is happening right now is that Kenyans are being accused of also informing on fellow citizens to U.S. agents, which is also something quite peculiar. I did not know Kenyans to be snitches, and people go to the USA with that particular dream of being the land of dreams, where dreams come true and things like that. But right now, as it is, there is that particular issue over this total of 1,282 Kenyans being targeted. And a statement from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) shows that as of November 24, 2024, there were about 1,445 to 549 non-citizens from various countries around the world. We do have also other countries, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, El Salvador, leading with some of the largest number of immigrants, with over 200,000 in the ICE list set for removal. So one of the things that have also come up recently is that there have been Kenyans being accused of informing on fellow Kenyans to U.S. agents, which is quite peculiar, because you do get to ask me. They are saying that some Kenyans, I've had also names being mentioned in this particular case. But over the past few days, some Kenyans living in the USA have taken to social media platforms such as TikTok, claiming that the ICE was paying $750, which is about $96,000, to anyone who can report illegal immigrants for deportation. And there were some Kenyans that went to pick this particular money so that they can snitch, or they can tell on their fellow Kenyans to be deported back. And there was also a report which said, contrary to rumors, the ICE is not giving a reward for tips in support of civil immigration enforcement objectives. But there has been those particular claims that were shared on social media, and that got me thinking: are Kenyans really of that nature of snitching on our fellow Kenyans? I do not know, but that is not my opinion. I hold Kenyans in a different regard. If you do get to ask me, Kenyans will not throw fellow Kenyans under the bus. But at some point, I'm bound to think in that direction, because when it comes to matters like election and tribalism, all these negative ethnicity, sometimes you do find Kenyans throwing fellow Kenyans under the bus in the guise of siding with their ethnicity. In the guise of supporting or standing with their own, fellow kingsmen or fellow tribesmen, which is rather also not something that we are quite proud of. That it will get us to a place where we stall, we cannot develop, or we cannot progress because of this negative ethnicity. But I think that did not have anything to do with the recent deportations and people telling on each other. Maybe perhaps these were made up stories. They are alleged that there were Kenyans telling on our fellow Kenyans, that is yet to be established. Nonetheless, this is the Kenyan Podcast, the number one trending and topical issues podcast in the 254. In case you want to get a hold of us, please make sure you do so. You can find us on our socials, Kenyan Podcast on Facebook, Kenyan Podcast on Instagram, and also on Twitter. Even though we had a bit of a problem with our Twitter account, we are hoping that will be reinstated, because it was attacked. There was a hacking attack on our Twitter, but we have been able to get back the account. But still, there are some problems with that. But we are hopeful that even if you tweet us, we'll be able to find some of that. Even if you're not able to get a hold of us via Twitter or X, please write to us via mail, kenyanpodcast@gmail.com, and we would be more than glad to hear from you and also connect with you on various issues affecting our Kenyan people right here in the 254 and even outside the 254, because that is the goal of this amazing podcast. And remember, we are better together. That is why we invite your support. And also remember to keep sharing this particular podcast. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcast. We are also on other several platforms. But please make sure that you all continue to support this particular stream, and let us get to a place where we are uniting our people through this particular platform. Till next time, much peace and love. I want to say kwaheri for now. Take care of yourself. Much peace and love. Bye bye.